Hello guys. Today we're going to go over Adobe Audition, and this is for the sound that you're going to have to record for your kinetic typography project. It's a pretty powerful software package that is a sound editor, and you can also do some editing with sound to video, but today we're just going to go over some simple basics on how to record and how to set up your sound so that you can bring it into After Effects. Right now I'm using a headset, and I strongly suggest that when you're doing your recording, that if you're doing it on a computer, you use a headset that has a microphone. Otherwise, you can record using, if you have a decent phone and you're in a very quiet place, also make sure to turn things off like the TV and your phone because it will ring just when you're recording, things like that. So the first thing is I've opened up Adobe Audition, excuse me, and I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, Audio Hardware. And you can see right in here, I have it set to my Logitech USB headset for both the output and the input. So everything is set to that right now. Not the actual microphone connected to my laptop because that's going to give me some weird issues. So next I want to create a new file. So I'm going to say new, and I want to create a new audio file. And I'll just call this one my narrative. And I'll use a sample rate, so I want it to be a higher quality, so 48 hertz, 48,000 hertz, stereo, 32 bits. So all of the presets, just change the name, should be fine. So from here is where I would do my recording. And if you're on a Windows platform, you want to adjust your microphone and make sure that when you I'm going to right click on my little speaker down here and go to recording devices. And these are the recording devices that are on my computer. And as I'm speaking, you can see that the headset is the one that's showing some volume. I also have the built-in microphone turned on. Well, you'll see why in a minute. Um, that's really just for the purpose of this demonstration because I'm going to show you what happens when you have a recording that's set too loud and how we would clean that up. So ideally, I'd go to my microphone that I'm using and go to Properties. And when I go to there, then I can go through and find levels. And this is where I would adjust how sensitive my microphone is. You notice I don't have it turned all the way up. If I did, you'd be getting all sorts of noise and background more than you'd probably be getting now. So it would hear the computer fan, it would hear all sorts of things that we don't want. I mean, I'll show you how to clean that up if you get some of it, but you want to have as little as possible. So you're going to have to kind of do some test and see what's the value that's going to work best for you. You can pull this over to the side while you're doing your testing. I think that'll be okay for what I'm doing right now. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now I'm ready. At this point, I would have my script already, but I'm just going to do a quick test so you can see, just to give you the idea of what we're going to do. So this is my sound file. There's just no sound in it because I haven't recorded anything yet. And this down here is how I would record and play, and this is my timeline. So right now we're not going to get into everything that's in here. We're just going to record what we need. So when I make a recording in here, I'll just hit the record button. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. and then I could hit stop. If I want to hear what that sounds like, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. And that actually sounds pretty good. If it's too low, right here, I can crank things up and you can see my wave files going, the sine waves going higher or lower. So this is increasing the decibels. It's basically amplifying it. And you can see in my history, it's showing that I'm amplifying it. So if I hit play now, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. So we can see how loud that is. Now, of course, this is relative to also how high your speakers are. So if my speakers are actually not turned up loud enough and they're really low, I might find myself cranking this up too high or basically not having it high enough or just whichever. So make sure that your speakers are actually at a decent, they don't have to be at 100%, but you want them at a decent like 50, 60% range so you can actually hear it. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. The levels down here are showing me the green is the ideal spot, right? As you get higher, it's going to go to yellow and then eventually red, and basically saying, wow, you're getting really loud there. And that's where you would adjust this, okay? And we could turn it down. And we could see the decibels here. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Now what you might notice is that you have this background noise, and I'm going to kind of give you a good example of that by opening up a file that I know that actually has way too much noise and is too loud. So if I hit play, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. And we could see it's getting really high up there, plus there's a lot of noise. So I would do a couple of things with this. Number one, I would tone it down just a little bit. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. The next thing I want to do is get rid of my noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an area that just has noise, and I'm going to hit play to make sure. Yeah, so that stuff right there. It could also be back here, where you can see there's noise even though there's nothing going on there. And I want to get rid of that noise throughout my entire recording. So I'm going to select this area. I'm going to go to Effects, Noise Reduction and Restoration, and capture a noise print. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing an area that has noise and saying, hey, I want you to look at, later on, I want you to look at this whole sound file, and whenever you're getting this pattern of noise, I want you to minimize or subtract it out. So I'm going to capture it. And it's saying the current audio selection will be captured and loaded into the noise print for use the next time the noise reduction effect is launched. That's great. Hit OK. I double click just to select everything. I could also just click in here and hit Control A to select all, but white means it's all selected. And now I'm going to go to File, excuse me, I'm going to go to Effects, Noise Reduction and Restoration. And now I'm going to choose the noise reduction process. And it gives me this window. Now what I found is that just going off of the basis, it's looking at the threshold. I could fine tune this, but usually it's, as long as you have a relatively good recording, you actually don't even need to mess with it that much. I'm just going to hit apply. And it runs the process, noise reduction, over the entire file. So now let's see what happens when I hit play. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. And you can see I don't have that noise anymore, which is awesome. So what you're going to do is you're going to write your script of your narrative. Either you or someone else is actually going to record it, or you're going to record them saying it if it's not you. You'll do the cleanup. Make sure to do a few different takes. And the thing you want to stress is remember that this is only going to be about 10 to 15 seconds long, a brief description about you. You can suggest taking a clip of a movie or a quote or like a clip from a movie or a TV show and then doing kinetic typography to it, but you have to have it approved by me, just like you have to have your narration approved. After that, once it's recorded, you have a few recordings and you'll pick one, clean it up. You like it the way it is. Then we go to File, and what we want to do is export the file. And we're going to actually, well, we could do it different ways. We could either do it like this, where we just do a save. I'm going to do a save as, and you output it as a wave. And that actually works out really well. For what we're going to do, a wave file is probably the best one to do. So I'm just going to say that this one is going to be my narrative test. That would be my wave. I choose where I want to save it. Make sure you have a project folder where you're storing all your stuff. If you're using Maya at all, just like when you're using Maya, you want to save it into the Maya folder, project folder. We're using a wave file, wave PCM. If you're on a Mac, you can also use an AIFF file. Either one of those will work fine, and they aren't going to lose anything through compression. They may be kind of big if you make it longer or whatever, but it should be pretty reasonable. It's only 10 to 15 seconds long. And once that's all done, you just hit OK. I'm overriding it, so it'd be yes. And that's it. And that's the WAV file that you would then bring into After Effects. If you have any questions, just let me know.